couldn't justify having another two-seater V8 engine toy car.
Well, you'd have one that worked.
Oh, he's really pushing his luck now.
I'm on it today. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to episode 28 of the Evo podcast. James Taylor with you for this one, and I'm joined by Dickie Meaden.
Hello.
John Barker.
Hello.
And Yousuf Ashraf.
Hi guys.
And this episode we're going to be talking about the Evo Eras series, which we've reached the grand finale of our multi-decade kind of trawl through the history of performance cars. But before we get into that, let's quickly catch up on what we've been driving. John, you've just got back from Monza, actually.
Yes, went to drive the Manthey kit on the GT3 RS, and it was an amazing event because Porsche put on these events for customers.
Okay.
They take over the circuit for a week.
So all of Monza for 1 week?
All of
Wow.
Monza.
Okay.
You can hire even an RSR.
Oh, wow.
It's quite expensive,
Okay.
but you can hire an RSR.
Is that on the Hertz list? Of sort of
Yeah. Well, it hurts the bank.
RSOs.
And basically it's 40 minutes for road cars, then 40 minutes for track cars. And we were there to drive the Manthey kit. And they obviously put on the standard model so that you can do a back-to-back. So I'd never been to Monza before. And on my third lap, I was hitting the brakes at the 200-metre board for the first chicane.
Oh, wow. And that's the end of a very long straight after a very long corner.
That's like 150 miles an hour.
Wow.
Yeah.
Chasing the guy in the standard GT3 RS.
Yeah.
So, 6, 7, 8 laps of that, and then into the Manthey car and do the same thing. And it's not like a track day I have normally, the normal track days that you go to, because everybody is on it. It's like a qualifying session.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there was a little video in the morning that you could go to, sit down, and
Okay.
they'd talk you through the break points, and then this is where you should start with this break point, and then you just eat into it. And the cars are amazing because they just soak it up.
Yeah.
40 minutes on track, bring the car into the paddock, maybe half a lap, cool down, leave the car. 40 minutes later, go back to it, start it up, warm the tyres up, and off you go again.
It's really impressive.
So, it's very impressive. Could I tell the difference between the Manthey and the standard car? Not really.
Okay.
Which was interesting.
That's really interesting
Yeah.
because previous listeners to this will remember me and Henry talking about how at the first corner of Goodwood Hill climb you could really feel the difference between...
And it's 100 grand,
Yeah.
isn't it? The kit.
It is 100
You'd
grand
want
on
to
top
feel
of
the
your
difference.
200 grand for the car
Yeah.
or whatever you have to pay. So it was there was not much left on the table, and it's flat, the standard cars.
Monza is a bit of an odd place to take a high downforce car.
Yeah.
A higher version of a high downforce car,
Yeah.
isn't it? Because it
Yeah.
should just be DRS. Chicane. DRS. It's not.
Yeah. There isn't a big
There's no
corner.
big direction
Yeah.
changes,
No.
or that I think is where that car would.
Yeah.
Because I remember when I did the RS launch, and they did that at Silverstone, and we were chasing. Funny enough, we were chasing a Manthey GT3 in the RS, and the GT3 would pull away on the straight, but then you'd get it under braking.
Yeah.
But the RS is really odd, isn't it? The delta between the speed you enter after a fast corner and the speed you reach at the end of the straight is so small because you're pretty much pinned
Yeah.
through those fast corners. So you don't get much sensation of acceleration because it's always operating.
Yeah.
So I would guess with that particular track and those two cars, it's the least flattering place for the higher downforce car.
I mean, it's a
guess.
great circuit, and as I say, it was like being in qualifying rather than a track day. It's very high intensity.
Yeah, I bet.
But the standard car is amazing, and it's flat through Curva Grande anyway.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you're not going to gain anything
No.
there.
Yeah.
Parabolica, Ascari.
Parabolica, well, there was a little bit in Ascari,
Yeah.
which is slower than you imagine from the telly watching Formula 1.
But that's the only
They
real
just-
proper high-ish speed direction change, isn't it, on the whole?
But even that
That-
is like second, third gear, so it's not
Oh, right,
big
okay.
speed. You're building up again. It's all in the brakes. They don't claim any lap time improvement.
No.
They just say you'll feel more confident here, and if you do, then push there. So it was interesting. And the idea that the GT3 RS standard car is a really rare car there were so many.
Yeah, there's hundreds of them at track days.
It was a whole back lot car park that looked like the back of Stuttgart. Phenomenal cars still.
Yeah.
With amazing brakes that just last and last and last. So
I think Manthey run all those cars, don't they, for Porsche? I think.
Do they?
The customer experience stuff, they've got like a big squad of RSs and GT3s. I think they prep them for those events.
It's a bit weird, isn't it? Because Manthey's owned by Porsche, but they've also got to market their own product as being better than the base car. So it's like an internal competition almost, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I wrote, if anybody can find some gains, it would be Manthey, who know what the standard guys, or the cars, the guys did to get the standard car where it is.
Yeah.
Is there anything left there? What can you do?
Well,
it was pretty amazing.
Yeah, and we might be revisiting that car at some point in the near future with a stopwatch. So watch this space.
Yeah, and I think if you pick the right circuit, then that would be very interesting.
Yeah. Yousuf, how about you? What have you been behind the wheel of?
Not a GT3 RS, but the new Land Cruiser.
Basically the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's a car that's almost built for purpose in the same way, you could say. I've really enjoyed driving around in it. I haven't driven one before, and it reminds me a little bit of an Ineos Grenadier, which isn't the best praise, but just in the way it feels quite old school and built for purpose, but it's not as inherently flawed as that car. It doesn't feel super compromised, but you can tell it's more of an off-roader than a SUV to drive around and cruise around in. I always find it tricky going into testing these kinds of cars because we're not an off-road magazine and we tend to not test
intentionally
them.
Anyway.
Well, yeah. If you've got James at the wheel
Briefly.
of the field.
I did it one time, honestly.
But it's almost like I don't know what car reviewing a Caterham and saying, it's too stiff for the road and too full on.
Yeah, you have to consider, is it fit for
It's
purpose?
use case. But then it's an 80 grand car, this Land
Is it
Cruiser.
really?
So it's not really a off-road bash around kind of SUV.
They have a real following, the Land Cruisers, don't they?
Yeah,
There's
they
so
do,
much loyalty with that model.
Yeah. But it's nice. I think they've judged it quite well because it's not as crude as a Grenadier, but not as sophisticated and road focused as a Defender. So I quite enjoy driving around in it. Yeah, it's
cool. And Dickie, you have been off-road
I have been
intentionally.
I have been off-road. I got the chance to go and drive the Octa on a proper high-speed kind of off-road track, which is, again, it's a bit like taking a GT3 RS to a track day. I think you kind of, when I read all the Octa launch reports and they were saying how they developed it, and it's the kind of, you definitely, you could take it and smash it around a fast off-road course. You're like, of course you can, but bloody hell, it's nuts. Mm-hmm. The jumps it was doing and the impacts it was taking and the speed you're going at, it's like, wow, this is amazing. And you get beyond the kind of mechanical sympathy bit
just abuse it
and just sort of relax. But the effectiveness of the damping and stuff is really impressive.
Where was that at?
There's a place called Slindon, which is near Goodwood.
Oh, okay.
So there was the usual kind of really tight, naggety off-road course, which they had a new Defender Trophy, which is like a, if you remember Camel Trophy or G4 Challenge, they've kind of resurrected that, but with a slightly more green credentials than just hacking your way through the rainforest in a load of Defenders. So there's a sort of conservation angle to it, but the cars are really great. They're same kind of things. So you've got all the kit on them, and so we did the slow route in that, and then we could drive around were driven around, and then I got to drive around ourselves. But it's you struggle to believe, like it's a 2.5 ton car, and you're just launching it off jumps, but it felt absolutely brilliant, and it was on the same tyres. So the tyres I've been driving long term around on. So they've got 2 specs of off-road tyre. So this is the heavier. I think it's got like 3-ply sidewalls, and so it's good for that kind of treatment. But
it's amazing the bandwidth, isn't it? That they do that when they launched the SV Range Rover Sport.
Yeah,
they took it to a track. I think it went to Rockingham, went around the track, then did an off-road course, all on the same tyre.
Wow.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
it can do it. It's just whether the customer
Is ever going to do it?
I think
brave enough.
I think if
or-
you could buy an Octa and it gets a lot of attention just because it has some presence, because it's that bit wider, and when it's on the extreme tyres it looks pretty cool. But I think if they see more people doing it, I definitely want to have a bit of a go, because it's kind of what it's been designed to do.
And it is a proper challenge, isn't it? If you proper off-roading is a real skill.
Yeah, absolutely.
Knowing when to use the power and
It's
what
great
modes
fun.
to use.
Really, really impressive.
What's it like being in mid-air? Because I remember being talked around a prototype by some of the engineers, and they said, we've designed this to jump further and longer and higher than any
I think
Land Rover
that's-
yet.
I think it's all in that 6D stuff. So the way, depending on the mode, so there's like the all-terrain mode, and then you can switch it into dynamic mode, which is the best mode for road driving, and then you press and hold the same button and it goes into Octa mode. And that,
Okay.
from talking with Matt Becker, that sounds like a combination of the two. So it's very free, and you don't get sort of tossed around over bumps at lower speed, but then it knows when it's at a certain speed or off the ground, or it just knows what the wheel travel's doing. So it closes these, I think they're called comfort valves in the damping. So it is then ready for braced to support itself when it lands. So it's really, really clever stuff.
Is it fun to drive on the road like that when it's super soft and roly-poly?
In dynamic, so I tried it in Octa on the road, and you get more torque to the rear in dynamic, and in Octa you get a little bit more, but I think the way it sends it back is slightly different. So I think if it feels you counter steering, then it starts to send it forwards to give you more traction to pull you out.
Right, okay.
But in dynamic mode, it's stiff across the car, so it's like it's got much thicker anti-roll bars, so it stays really flat, and you get so much, given the tyre sort of proper knobbly tyre, so you think it would be horrible, but it's really precise. You kind of feel the load build up, and it's because we've had such good weather. Hadn't driven it in the rain until the other day. It's a little bit different in the rain, because you feel it quite quickly overcomes the grip of the front tyre.
Okay.
So you can't just lob it in but it's a really interesting car, and it feels totally different to a regular Defender, particularly short wheelbase V8. That's much more fidgety and sort of bucks around,
Yeah,
and this
handful,
feels like a very different car.
Oh, sounds amazing. Sounds brilliant fun.
What about you? You've been driving something at the complete
Yeah,
other end of the scale.
A little bit lower and lighter than a Defender. Yeah, I've been driving a prototype Caterham. So Caterham have been faced with a bit of a perfect storm in that they need to introduce a new engine, a new gearbox, and a new diff, because all three of those things they use
basically
currently.
the whole car apart from some tubes.
Yeah.
And they've just had to change all the tyres as well.
Yes, yeah. So pretty
Proper
challenging times.
cycling through everything just about.
Yeah. So up until now, Caterham have been using three engines: the little Suzuki, tiny little 660cc turbo,
3-cylinder thing, wasn't it?
and then the 2-litre Ford Duratec, and then the Academy race cars used the old Ford Sigma engine from Fiestas and Pumas. Ford stopped making that engine a long time ago, so Caterham are at the point they need to introduce something new. So they've approached a company called Horse Technologies, interesting name, who are kind of a subsidiary of Renault, Geely and Aramco. And it's an engine the engine I've chosen is this little 1.3 litre turbo.
Yeah.
So it's a turbocharged Caterham, which apart from the Suzuki one is kind of new ground. But that engine's actually been around for a few years. It's been in Clios, Qashqais, Mercedes A-Class, things like that.
That doesn't sound very promising.
It doesn't, although, the Duratec and the Sigma, I suppose, are not the most charismatic engines. So eventually it will. They've not really said what they're going to do long term, but it's a multi-year deal, so we can assume it's going to go into road cars at some point. But to start with, they're putting it in the Academy race car, which is their entry-level race series for road legal Caterhams. So they've built a couple of prototypes, and I got behind the wheel of one at Brands Hatch, which was really,
so
really good fun.
What sort of output is that? Is
So
it
it's 130 bhp. Yeah, so a little bit more. Actually, I think the Sigma was 125.
Yeah, so similar.
pretty similar, but a lot more torque being turbocharged. So you kind of a gear up for every corner of what you would be normally. And
so it's a complete new start for the academy.
it is, yeah. So this season will be the last one with the existing engines, and then next year there'll be 34 brand new academy cars with this engine. So they're doing as much testing as they possibly can.
Is it a 5-speed box or a 6-speed?
It's now 6-speed. So the old one used the old 5-speed Mazda MX-5 gearbox. Mazda hasn't built that gearbox for a long time, so exactly the same quandary as the Sigma. They're going to run out of spares, basically.
Yeah.
So they've fitted the new 6-speed gearbox from the MX-5. It's not the only one they looked at. They looked at a load of different gearboxes, but decided this was the best one.
It's a nice gearbox, isn't it?
It's lovely, yeah, really. And funny enough, I drove to Brands Hatch in Evo's long-term MX-5 with that exact gearbox, and it is so snickety and slick.
Yeah.
And
I think they take more power and torque as well, don't they?
Yeah.
So I guess if they have got plans to...
Yeah.
Can they tune that engine, or will they have to develop it heavily to...
There were a couple of guys
its
from
character?
Horse there, because the factory's in Spain. They're all built in Spain, and they churn so many of them out every year.
They do millions, don't they?
Yeah.
It's bizarre, isn't it?
Yeah.
A company that makes millions of engines, and you've actually never
Never
heard
heard
of it.
Yeah. And they're on 3 continents, and they employ thousands of people. And the highest output they do at the moment is 160 bhp, but it's very tunable. You could easily, turn the boost up, I'm sure.
Well, that's exciting, isn't it? If it
Yeah.
future-proofs the 7 as much as it can be, without
Yeah.
knowing what legislation is going to be 20 years ahead. But that's great for them if they can build their plans around something.
Yeah, and
new.
it's a multi-year deal, so it should. And it was really fun to drive. It was not a lot of lag, really, really linear, lots of torque, but it doesn't kind of overwhelm the rear tyres.
Is it still on quite low grip tyres like the cars
it's
always
on
have been?
road legal tyres. They're Toyo Proxy tyres, and they're designed to last for a season.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty hard compound.
Yeah.
Moves
That's what
around
they're
a
all
lot.
about, though, isn't it? Really,
Yeah.
those cars.
It sounds
Yeah.
good.
It's let's
No.
no. It's I'll be honest, it's pretty forgettable
Really?
sounding,
Okay.
and actually pretty quiet, as a
Yeah.
lot of turbocharged engines are. So
And you're always wearing a lid in a Caterham.
yeah,
if you've got
exactly.
the
So
roof
it's
off,
wearing a
so-
helmet and then loads of wind
It's going
noise.
to be like driving on instruments. Isn't
Yeah.
it?
Well, I was driving on the shift lights because the first couple of laps I did, I ran into the limiter a couple of times just because
Yeah.
it got there much quicker than I expected.
That's great, though. I think if you do
Yeah.
the academy and you're going to do lots of track days, don't you remember when Jethro did the academy
Yeah,
years and years and years ago? It was brilliant, wasn't it? You just take it anywhere. You know it's going to get in
yeah.
anywhere. It's never going to wear anything out. So
Yeah.
you just
Yeah.
keep filling it up with petrol and
It was.
drive it round and round and round, don't you? So
It's the first time I've driven an academy car, and I think the biggest compliment I can pay the engine is that the second session I did, I forgot all about the engine and just concentrated on the car,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is as it should be. So yeah, I think it's the features.
and
Pretty
Caterham's
bright, I think.
changed as a company quite a lot by the sounds of it, hasn't it? They've got.
Yeah.
I think the last time I went, they were still in the old school
Huts.
place
Yeah.
in Dartford, and it's a
Yeah.
completely new building now.
Yeah,
it's a
yeah,
completely new
that's
facility.
right. Yeah, and it's pretty big. There's because I was the same as you. The last time I went there was a few years ago, and it was the old, very, very cramped
Yeah.
HQ that they'd been in for decades. And the new one, all purpose built and designed, so there's no overhead sort of lines or anything.
It's
Everything's
all
so
very, very slick.
yeah. And
Yeah.
there's a kind of viewing balcony. You can
Yeah.
walk out. They've got a few cars on display, and it does have a real wow factor as you kind of step out
Yeah.
and kind of
Oh,
survey
that
the
sounds
whole
brilliant.
thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I really hope it works well for them, and they can keep being strong for years to come, because there's something so special about Sevens, and
Absolutely.
it felt as special with this engine as it did with the old one, I think. So,
That's good news, isn't it?
Yeah, no, really exciting. Well, speaking of cars that have been around for decades, with
And journalists.
Kids.
No respect.
I'm not sure where to go from there. So with
Job centre.
I'll be deleted from the next shot.
Yeah. Where did Yousuf go?
we've come to the end of our Evo Eras series, which has run across 5 issues. The final issue is on sale now. I think the time this podcast goes out, it would have been on the shelves for
So that's
for a few
2020s,
days.
isn't it? So
That's right.
first half of this decade.
Yeah, so we started in the 1980s, then we've done 80s, 90s, noughties, 2010s, finished right up to date in 2025. And in the process, we've tried to pick out the key themes from each decade and maybe pinpoint what we think may have been the greatest decade for drivers' cars in terms of all factors, the cars themselves, but the kind of wider context of everything. And it's been a really epic thing to be a part of, hasn't it?
Yeah, I think it's the best thing I've ever been a part of, actually. It's really, I don't know, you kind of appreciate the scale of what we've done now. It's like 50 years worth of cars in a little over 5 months, because the cadence of it, we've had to try and get one of these tests done every month or thereabouts.
Yeah.
It's been so much fun, like quite stressful to find the cars and get them all
full
there.
on,
And
but
it's just been brilliant, and it's been great from a nostalgia point of view. If you've driven the cars before, and I know a few of us have driven the older stuff as like an icon car in the past, but it's been great to see you driving cars you've never been in before. I think it's been cars I've never driven before. It's just been a really lovely thing to do, I think.
And we should give credit to Peter Tomlin, who devised this series. It was his thought, and we think initially he planned something a little bit smaller than this.
I think we kind of took his idea and ran right over there, didn't we?
He did say it was going to be maybe 7 pages, just a little look back each issue, but it grew into a bit of a monster.
Kind of a mini E-Coty was sort of an E-Coty 1987.
It could easily have been, actually.
It did have that vibe about it, didn't it?
Yeah. So let's start at the very beginning. So we chose 6 cars for every decade, apart from the noughties, which had 7.
That was the plan, wasn't it? It was like half a dozen cars to create a kind of cross section of the decade and a snapshot of not necessarily the ultimate models. It was more representative of what people were more likely to have owned. During those periods, which gives it a slightly fresh spin, I think.
Because the key car that ran through the whole series was the 911.
Yes.
But we didn't want it to be a GT3 or an RS or anything like that. We wanted it to be the base model, the one they sold lots of.
Wanted it to be sort of the main, closest thing to a mainstream car. So we went for a Carrera for each one. But for listeners who are groaning at the 911 being a favourite again, we did think very carefully about which car to use as the control car for every decade. So we thought about the Golf GTI, we thought about the BMW M3, we thought about maybe having an entry-level Ferrari, so it would have been a 328 for the 80s, and then go through to the 296, which actually, funny enough, we did end up with a 296 at the end, and we did have a 355 for the 90s. But in the end, we settled on the 911 because that car stayed such a constant, but it's had so much tech visit it, like turbocharging and electrified steering, hybrids.
Cool towards cool, although it hasn't changed, it's been through some pretty transformational sort of evolutionary steps, hasn't it? So so what else did we have? 80s, we were very fortunate actually, because 3 cars I think were from manufacturer heritage fleet. So we had an absolute peach of an Mark 1 MR2, didn't we, from Toyota.
The E30.
E30 was so good.
That was really sweet.
Was that a Chicago?
It was a Ravaglio edition,
And the Quattro that we've driven before, actually.
And you've driven since in the Pyrenees, Yousuf.
With the RS3 and the RS2. So revisited that car. That's fun.
Well, that's a story for another podcast.
It is,
There's G50 3.2 Carrera, wasn't it? And then Harry brought his Testarossa.
And
so
205 GTI.
And the 205 GTI, which
couldn't have an 80s test without a 205 GTI.
No, they were all so small, weren't they? Like small, thin pillars.
No airbags.
Wind up windows a lot of the time.
Door casings.
FM radio.
No, it was.
But also small and light, but also all so very different. In character and performance and
totally different
dynamics.
powertrains, weren't they? Really.
I mean, I was around for most of those the first time around, and The one that really stood out for me was the MR2.
Yeah.
Right.
It was so modern, wasn't it? I was
Yeah.
shocked at how modern it felt
Yeah.
compared to
And
its
we-
contemporaries in that group.
Yeah, and it had very slim tyres, not a very torquey engine. Same engine that went in the AE86, the legendary AE86, which is impossible to oversteer with that engine. So that engine works really well in a mid-engine car.
Yeah, more about
Because it's-
delicacy and flow, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and we did come up against that subject. Was it designed? Yeah, was it developed by Lotus?
Yeah.
Because there's so much Elise feel in
It
it.
feels
isn't
very Lotus, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Mm.
It does.
And I think we
Yeah.
decided there wasn't.
Yeah, it's a
Although another
matter of
podcaster
conjecture.
suggested there definitely
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
So that
Yeah.
one's going to run and run.
It's a bit of a mystery,
Yeah.
isn't it?
But yeah, you,
Whatever. It was.
It
Yeah.
feels like one.
Yeah.
What,
Yeah.
we were all stood in the car park up by the muster point, and you watched everybody come back in the MR2, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't know it was that good.
Well, all,
Yeah.
all the cars, everyone came back with a big smile.
Yeah, yeah.
When everyone got in them, you just get in. There's no sort of furrowed brow, and why can't I get my phone to pair? Because you just don't
Yeah.
bother. And then
Well, there are
drive off.
immobilisers with some of them, which I wasn't familiar
Yeah, a few car alarms going off. And
with. I was like, why isn't it turning on?
that was the equivalent.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's our sort of lane keep assist, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
But yeah, I think the they were all there because they're special cars in one way or another, weren't they?
Yeah.
But the E30 was such a great
that's
car,
amazing.
wasn't it? The quality in it, and the more you drove it, the more you understood it, and
Yeah.
the more you got from it, and it was
Yeah.
just
Yes.
not a fast car
Well, this is the thing.
at all, but it was a brilliant thing
Yeah.
to drive.
I've driven them a couple of times for features,
Yeah.
and it always takes you a couple of miles.
You wonder what all the fuss is about
Yeah.
to start with,
Yeah.
don't you?
because it's flat. There's no torque, and it doesn't actually give you that much back.
Yeah.
And
The
then,
sound isn't that special either, really,
No.
is it? At low revs.
But then you get to the first proper corner and tip it in, and you think, oh, hello, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah.
all just
Yeah,
sort
it does
of
all come
focuses.
together, doesn't it?
It's
It's so
amazing.
neutral, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
it doesn't understeer or oversteer it
Yeah.
unless you want it to.
Yeah, it
It's-
just
it's-
carries speed, doesn't it? Really,
Yeah.
a lovely.
And the way it handles the bumps, it felt like
Yeah.
modern suspension.
Yeah,
almost. It
Yes.
was
yeah.
really
I think I was
impressive.
following you. You were in the E30, I was in the Quattro.
Yeah.
And then we stopped to turn around, and I didn't really get on with the Quattro. I was like, why is this so baggy and heavy, and it didn't feel great. But then you were beaming in the E30.
Yeah.
You're like, this is the best thing ever. And I was like, I don't really feel the same about this.
Because if you look at our selection of cars, the Quattro was the standout different car, wasn't it? First
Yeah.
four-wheel drive car,
Yeah.
first turbocharged car.
It was a bit of an
5
experiment,
cylinders.
wasn't it? It felt like a development prototype compared
Yeah.
to some of the others, and you
Yeah.
get in it and think, why am I sat like this?
Yeah,
The
why is
pedals
the
are there, and the
steering
steering
wheel
wheel's there, and the
Yeah.
seat's somewhere in the middle, and there's big,
Yeah.
like someone's taken a hammer and given it a good beating to get the transmission in,
Yeah.
and it's quite a
Yeah.
compromised
Yeah,
car. You'd never, no one would ever launch a car like
Yeah.
that in
No.
that kind of.
Not least Audi.
Slightly
it's very
raw
un-Audi,
state,
isn't
would
it,
they
in that
now?
way?
but that's a Ferdinand Piette car, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
That was the one that he pushed the engineers, because I probably looked at the regulations for World Rally and thought, if I can persuade them to let us have a four-wheel drive turbocharged car, then
We can clean up.
we can probably
But you could
probably
tell
make some
it
headlines.
was applied to a car that was never designed
Yeah.
to have
forced
that
to fit.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
it. So
It was funny watching people when the bonnet was open, going, "Oh, the engine is like
Yeah,
yeah.
right at the
Yeah.
front, just behind the rings."
yeah,
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
a sort of resto modded or hot rodded car almost, isn't
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a body on a different.
Reverse
Yeah.
911 almost.
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where the engine is.
No, that was the Subaru SVX.
Oh, right.
That was a flat six, but it was the
In the
opposite
front,
way around,
I
four-wheel drive. You should drive one of those one time.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
But
Part
yeah,
of the-
they were all complete different characters and all fun, and like they were all so little power, so little grip, but all a whole thing that worked together.
But then the
really
Ferrari had lots of power and relatively quite a lot of grip, but it was really hard work to drive, I found.
You had to be quite
But
brave.
I
in that
enjoyed
car.
it.
Yeah.
But I got quite it's like, oh,
Yeah,
it just was a little bit obstructive, wasn't it? And I think that's what supercars were like. I think
for a long time.
you just
It-
get used to them
yeah.
working really effortlessly now.
Mm.
And
from
that was not effortless at all.
No, you really
from
had
the
to drive
60s
it.
to
didn't
then,
you?
they didn't really change very much. The way they were built, the engines just got bigger and more powerful.
Mm.
But I always felt that they got cut slack
Because it was a Ferrari.
because nothing had that level of performance, and it had to have that level of grip to go with it. But it didn't all come into focus until a little while later.
I don't think you ever quite got access to the cars either. My sense with the media and stuff, it was it was kind of who you knew and that's my kind of probably over romanticised view of reading car magazine and stuff. But it required waiting for days, and then they might let you have a go in it. And so we're used to just phoning press offices and having a car for a week and being able to figure it or take it to track or do a big group test in it. So you really become a little bit blasé, don't you, about having access to them. But I think they were properly special, rare occasions to drive stuff like that back then.
Exactly, and you turn up at the factory, the stories like, they're all the same performance. Which one would you like? And the driver's going, "Can I have the red one?"
Yes,
of course you can have the red one. That's the one with the proper engine.
I mean, because we wanted to have a supercar in every group, and normally we went for something more entry level, but for the 80s it felt right to have a real 80s poster car.
I think we gave ourselves a bit of latitude, didn't we, with them, and just wanted to try and give a reflection of some of the poster cars as well as the significance of them. But
I really did love driving the Testarossa for all of its
amazing
challenges.
engine,
It was
absolutely stunning engine, and I love the interior because it's so quirky and again, I think there weren't really concessions to practicality or functionality quite so much. They just look good, and then it's oh shit, we forgot to put the oil pressure gauge, and it's down by the handbrake or something, isn't it?
Strange collections of buttons and dials.
But I love that. I love the quirkiness.
But Harry knew them all, didn't he?
And I love
the wiper down there.
And I love the fact that Harry uses it. He really does put a lot of miles on it.
Because we were shooting in North Yorkshire, and he then went on up to Scotland.
He drove up to Scotland, didn't he?
Straight
to
from
Scotland,
there.
and then came back down. That's the car he drove to Morocco.
That's right.
So it was good to hang out with Harry and drive that car, definitely. Do we talk about the 911 now, and then we all go
misty-eyed,
and everyone will switch the podcast off, or do we?
Do you want to grab a cup of tea and then annoy them after that?
Shall we pause here?
Yes.
And then we'll come back.
While you can prepare.
Some people spurting into their tea.
Either the 911 fan club can stay tuned in, and everyone else can switch off.
Probably come back 5 minutes after we've come back. It'll all be over.
Well, let's go and put the kettle on, and we'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to the Evo podcast. We've reached the end of the 80s, but before we jump into the next decade,
911 time.
we'll keep it brief. But it was a very, very special car. This particular 911 that was on.
It was great, wasn't it? I think the colour was cassis. What's that, like frozen?
Bit like frozen berry,
basically.
So
it was quite a seductive 80s spec anyway, but it was really, really, really good, wasn't it? It just felt so tight, and build quality was brilliant, and the way it drove. I think it's a very, very nice car, and it's been looked after properly, and I think it'd been to Centre Gravity I think it was Centre Gravity to have its Geo done, so it was absolutely...
But it had done 500,000
miles. 500,000
in its lifetime,
car.
which is incredible. I mean, maybe not every component was totally original,
but it was very special, and it just felt so 911. It must have been weird to get into it, because everything you read about 911s, that's pretty much how it came across.
Apart from the waywardness that everyone trots out, that they're not wayward things at all, are they? They're just move around a little bit more. They're more responsive to just on and off throttle.
Relax your wrists a little bit on a bumpy road, and you'll find its way.
But super cool car.
Very good.
Well, let's jump forward to the 90s, which was a decade we were all really, really looking forward to. Annoyingly, it's the one test I couldn't get to because it clashed with something, which I'm still a bit
We've been so
gutted
lucky
about.
with the weather for all of them, actually. I'm just looking at the covers, and I sort of remember the tests by the evening where we're doing the group statics almost, because you kind of soaked it all in, and you kind of just stood there reflecting on the last few days. But the 90s was... I think the 90s was the one I was most excited about doing. I think I'm fondest memories of the 80s because it was the first test we'd done, and it went really well, and the cars were quirky and interesting, and Harry was there, so a bit more of a nostalgia trip, and it was just a good fun. But the 90s, I think probably because I know I would like to own more of those cars from that group than any of the others, so I was quite excited to.
Part of each
try
test was sort of dreaming about potentially sort of scanning classifieds. For
It's been very useful in that sense, I would say.
Whittling them all down.
Yeah. No,
feeling the man maths for potential.
I think again the variety of cars. I think you kind of, and knowing how many cars we had on the long list before we whittled it down, and you look at that group, and it's like the perfect looking hot hatch, isn't it? And then era defining Impreza there, isn't there? And then another kind of
TVR, peak TVR.
Yeah.
And
best looking Ferrari. One of the best looking Ferraris they've ever made, I would say.
And I'm still mourning the Elise, because I know it's probably been stripped down.
It's in bits at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, this car was loaned to us by Analog Automotive, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it's becoming a super sport.
So it will be reborn into something very special,
but
it's
really
already
special.
something very special, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a really sweet car. That.
And it is that variety again, isn't it? The muscular TVR and the lightweight Elise and everything else in between. It's
quite big steps, though, wasn't it? I think I think the 90s was my favourite of all like decades. I think, and I think there's something about the way those cars perform. It's meaningfully quicker and more capable than the 80s cars, but without the absolute capability of the sort of millennial cars. So you have they're classic without feeling vintage somehow, aren't they? I think that's what I loved, and the personalities of the cars. I love the TVR. I'd forgotten how good the TVR is and how good it looks and just how it makes you feel. It's just a proper...
You were in that the most, weren't you?
I loved it. Absolutely loved it, because it's so comfortable great. As well. It's so easy to use.
And it when it came out, it was so fresh, a fresh take on a British sports car. And you look at it today, there's not anything you've changed
such
now.
Such a pure design.
It's so confident, isn't it? And clever and resolved. It's very simple, but all the way that those spotlights sit and the radius of those and the everything is so
a lot of car designers
about.
Still reference the Griffith as a real high point of surfacing.
And the way they hid the door hinges with the I don't know, it's just clever.
Door handles by your knees inside as well on the transmission tunnel, just like
typical TVR.
No, very, very, very lovely thing.
They nailed the interior as well, didn't they? They had their own interior.
Yeah, it wasn't
really
part
special,
spin, was it? It was all
kind
of
proper quick as well.
Yeah,
sure.
And possibly a little bit quicker for its own good.
Handle,
but no, I loved it.
And then the Elise is kind of like the opposite, isn't it? It could probably handle more. Well, it could handle more power.
It will,
and it's really and they proved that.
But you don't actually want for any more when you're in it, do you? I mean, you own one, don't you, Yousuf? So you that's the biggest endorsement you can,
exactly.
You can give to a car, isn't it? But the Clio was brilliant, just like full of boisterous little bundle of energy, wasn't it? Really,
you just don't see them either. You see plenty of Williams.
That I think that's the rarest.
Cherished,
that's the rarest, hardest to find car of the whole 50
I was so impressed
years.
you managed to source one. Was a bit of help from Richard Tipper.
Richard Tipper and Darren, the owner, was.
Shout out to the owners who helped.
Yeah, he was great and super enthusiastic. All the owners actually. That's another nice thing about the test, because it's quite a big ask. A, to borrow someone's car. And B, if they want to come with it, it's either they're happy for us to take it away, and then you're a bit, I don't like the responsibility of this, or you're expecting them to be with us for 3 days. Yeah. But I think everyone had a great time, and they were all sort of hanging out, talking to one another, and appreciating each other's cars, and letting each other have a go. And it was really, really fun. Same with the Ferrari. That was. Sounded amazing. I mean, it's a little bit noisy than standard, but and the 911 was an absolutely perfect 90 spec, wasn't it? With
that colour? Interior.
Is it nephrite?
Green.
Is it nephrite green? I think so. It's like whoa. But by the time you spend enough time in it, it's bloody hell. I love it.
You need sunglasses, though, don't you? Almost from the reflections.
Super cool and totally original. Really early car.
The exterior should have been purple or something.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, complete the look.
Well, they did do. Was it jade? I'm getting all the 911 anoraks, but it's a very similar.
The RS.
Similar metallic green to the interior. So that would be green overload, wasn't it? But,
Yeah.
I think that the difference between the 90s and the noughties, I think the car capabilities.
Yeah, did it feel like a bigger step to you from 90s to noughties than it did from 80s to 90s, or did it kind of feel like a big step each time?
I think it was about the same.
Sort of subtle shift almost, wasn't it? I think you sort of had adaptive dampers in some of the cars and or sport buttons started to come in, and it's very basic stuff. But I think for me, I think the noughties felt like the start of. The 90s felt like the end of something, and the noughties felt like the start of what we're living through now. So I think I know we have a slightly different take on it, but I felt the noughties, it almost makes the noughties cars feel older in a sense than the 90s cars did, because they feel like they have a direct connection to the 10s and 20s cars. Yeah. But they feel quite old compared to
I see what you mean.
those. So they're not old enough to be a classic, but they're not new enough to be quite as competitive against their modern.
Because with all of these, I mean, 80s and 90s, you don't go in expecting it to be like a super polished experience and a super capable car.
You always make allowances, don't you?
You make allowances mentally, I think, before you jump in. Whereas with the 2000s, I wasn't on that test, but looking at some of the cars there, you expect greatness when you jump in.
It was definitely there. It was absolutely there.
They delivered greatness.
Absolutely there.
That was the remarkable thing. They were all so good, so good.
What was a Murcielago like?
Not good.
Not good.
It's a proper dinosaur, isn't it?
It was a bit Testarossa-like in how it was a bit hard work.
It was less wieldy than the Testarossa.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it is. Well, obviously, we know Simon George very well. He's had the car in the magazine since forever.
Yeah, this is the orange Murcielago, by the way, for anyone listening or watching. This is the famous 300,000 mile Murcielago.
Yeah, 315,000 miles now, I think it's got on it. And Simon is, he's been on a proper journey with the car. When he got it, he loved the attention. Yeah. Now, I think he's just wrapped.
It's different colour now, isn't it?
Because he's getting bored of the attention.
Wow.
He'd rather be under the radar a bit. And it is okay. It was the first Audi engineered or supported car, but it's still quite old school in the way it's built.
It's pretty crude, isn't it?
But again.
Epic
what
thing.
an engine!
Absolutely epic thing.
Phenomenal.
Again.
Yeah.
And
the sound and the way it pulls sort of all the way through.
Yeah. And I didn't actually get on with the interior, but that is its fourth or fifth interior. So maybe the seat isn't quite the same shape as it should be. But it was as hard work as the Testarossa to hustle along there.
Lovely gear shift though. I don't know if just having all those thousands and thousands of miles on it made it so slick.
Free, wasn't it? But,
but the other stuff there would run away from it, I think, on the roads.
God, you wouldn't keep up with the Cooper S, would you?
No
way.
Yeah, two corners, and
that'd be quite humbling, wouldn't it?
So I mean, there was the 90s was good. Dickie and I were at Performance Car for a chunk of that, and the 90s was good, but in the 2000s there were so many good cars. It just when we started Evo, the way the market went was perfect.
Yeah, we rode that wave, didn't we? Really,
absolutely.
And had so much to go at in every single. I can remember doing massive coupe tests with 12 cars in them, and hot hatch tests with 10 cars in them, and absolutely, it was endless.
So that probably had the long list of cars, I guess.
But we simply could not. We couldn't get it below 7, and it could easily have been 10.
We did aim for 8 at one point, didn't we?
I think Dean would have just
cried
had a total meltdown if we got 8 cars.
I wrote the 2000s one, and you go to it and think, well, it was a refresher to drive all the cars again, so I'm happy with that. But then you think, I need to just check back and see what. And you've got a whole 100 issues to go through. Some great issues, and it's a bit like clearing out your loft or something. You keep getting stopped by features that you forgot you wrote. There's such a lot happened in that era, that decade.
It was a big time, wasn't it? I think you could have had, not necessarily for the way it drove, but you could have had a early Conti GT Bentley there, because that was the start of their sort of reinvented affordable Bentley, wasn't it? We had the Aston there for obvious reasons, and that was arguably that's the closest they ever got to being on a par with the 911, wasn't it? It was a sort of either or choice then, because they were such good good cars.
That was a beautiful car as well.
That was like a proper time walk.
Standing there, like you say, at the end of the day, the sun's going down, photographers flapping, and you're just looking at the light on the cars.
Spectacularly good car, like a good looking car.
Yeah.
Just brilliant
Sweet
design.
What about the R8? Because I know in period that got quite close.
That's
your kind of the one you buy, isn't it?
I could have, back when they launched that car, I could have had one.
Oh, really?
There was an offer from Audi.
Oh.
Really?
So, buy a car from us, have it for 12 months, we'll buy it back at the same price.
Oh, really?
Wow.
But I couldn't justify having another two-seater V8 engine toy car.
Well, you'd have one that worked.
Oh, he's really pushing his luck now. If he's going to get the sack, he's going to get the sack in style.
Well, in hindsight, if I'd known how few miles the Capri was going to do, I could
you would have gone for it.
But it wouldn't. It wouldn't have had garage space.
Was it sweet to revisit it?
Always is. Just like the E30 M3, you get back into it and think, wow, this just is its own thing. It works beautifully. The gear shift, manual gear shift, the V8 is just everything you need. V10's always overrated for me. It is. They nailed it with that spec first time.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's their first effort with that car.
Yeah.
And it's such a hand-built thing. When I ran a very late V10 Plus as a long-term test car and went to the factory not to see that car being built, when they're to collect it. But the way that aluminium structure is built, it's basically
handcrafted,
hand assembled, hand welded on a jig. So it's
wow.
I know they made a lot of them, but it must have taken them a long time to see any money back on them, I would think, because it's
but it was a statement car for them, wasn't it?
Yeah, and it did change how people saw the company.
Yeah, they needed to celebrate the Le Mans success. So yeah, it's great. Well, a great bunch of cars.
Yeah, E46 M3. That looks stunning as well.
It's aged so well, that shape, hasn't it?
I know the current ones get a bit of a beating, don't they? And I'm kind of getting used to the way they look, apart from the M5. But that's just such a pretty shape, just pumped up enough, isn't it?
Yeah, the arches just sort of pop.
And a little 4-stubby exhaust and that brilliant engine. That's such a great engine. Yeah. I think that's what we're missing. We're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, aren't we? But the standout engines, certainly in the 90s and noughties, they're still such a central part of a distinguishing part of all the cars, characters, and then gradually everything's getting slightly more homogenised, isn't it?
The other car in there, which is fantastic, you turned up in it, is the white,
linen
white, 5,000 mile.
Yeah, that's another time
Golf
car,
GTI.
Wow.
Golf GTI, Mark V Golf GTI, because every decade had a bit of a surprise in it, didn't it? And this was, we already knew it was a very good car, but I think we'd all forgotten just how good.
It's definitive GTI, isn't it? In my head.
Was that a DSG or a manual?
No, a
manual. And I think if that car was released tomorrow and we went and put it in a hot hatch test, it would do really well. Ride handling,
update the infotainment, but keep the switches, but just make it more contemporary. It's everything.
I have.
Good choice.
170,000 miles.
A few more than 5. Yeah.
Essentially the same car. It's the way the seats are, the driving position, the dynamics. It's another, like the R8. They nailed it. They had to as well, because they were coming off Mark IV, which
was a bit of a stinker, wasn't it?
Yeah, the best one in that was the 150 PDI, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That we took to the Nürburgring, didn't we? And came back with blue tyres.
And then got thrown off the Nürburgring. I think.
Yeah, so it was fab. I mean, there's a lot of effort goes into writing these things, just because you have to do all that research. I mean, Peter, I spoke to Peter the other night, and he said, I didn't make any money on writing the first one, because it took him weeks.
Oh gosh. Yeah,
but
then he set the template, didn't he?
He did, so we had to follow.
It's funny, we haven't. There's a 997 Carrera S in the noughties test, and we haven't We haven't jumped on that, have we? But I think weirdly, the character of that car, whether you just almost kind of take a 911 for granted, that I think that was their point where they just started to crush everyone, hadn't they, with the capability of that car, and the packaging of it, and the way it goes down the road. But it was really interesting driving that with the 911, with the Vantage and the
R8. It was
R8, because they seem more distinctive characters than the 911 in a lot of ways.
Absolutely.
I found the same with the 996, to be honest, on the 90s test. Because you get in thinking, oh, it's hydraulic steering, it's going to feel really old school, but it was lacking that bit of excitement for me. And I was driving it, I was thinking, for the 90s, this must have been really capable and quite fun to drive. But in amongst all those other big characters, it was lacking something for me. Mainly the engine, and just felt a bit soft.
We were really torn with 911 in making it our control car. We sort of tied ourselves in knots a little bit, because we've said this before, haven't we? But we could have had 964, 993, or 996 in the 90s. But if we put if you bump the 996 into the next one, then you've got to miss umpteen generations. So I think probably 993 is more of the definitive 90s 911, and I think after that, which was like literally last of the line air-cooled car, and then you go right back to the start of the development process with that 3.4 engine was never that memorable, but it was a completely reinvented car, wasn't it?
And it must have felt really modern at the time.
It was totally different experience. Totally different experience, and a totally different Porsche as a company, actually, because they built it to have some sort of commonality with a Boxster, and then Cayman after that. So whereas the earlier 911s felt like very old school handcrafted cars almost. So
very small, so small. But the Mini did a similar thing, didn't it? The 911 just swept all before it, and the Mini did the same. When I was going through all the issues, the number of tests that it went into and just came out on top,
even against some pretty
four-wheel drive
serious
stuff.
It's just a breath of fresh air, though, wasn't it? That car. I think the way BMW took. I mean, imagine that actually now taking something as iconic as the original Mini, and then reinventing it in the way they did, and sort of respecting the design of it, or reflecting the design of it, but it's not a sort of pastiche, and then creating the driving experience. I just remember them feeling really pointy and like.
Well, you were an original Mini owner, weren't you?
Yeah.
So you can feel the sort of DNA.
They did manage to translate how a original Mini feels into that car, I think, and it had some character with certainly the Cooper S's with the supercharged engine, that little sort of whiny motor, and the big. Just the interior was totally
it's
different.
Totally bespoke,
well,
wasn't it? Everything else was just a hot hatch was a hatch made hot, but the Mini was its own thing.
And they were very clever with all the personalisation stuff. You could
that's how they made the margins in the end, wasn't it?
And things on them, so I think you could have fun. I think it's just a fun. They reminded people that sort of car should be.
It really captured that moment in the 90s as well, didn't it?
And the other interesting thing was that. There was a big debate before the car was launched and developed. Austin Rover, soon to be divorced partner, wanted to make it a basic car, utility car, and BMW wanted to make it upmarket, which is pretty similar to the debate that Jag Land Rover had with the Defender.
Of course.
Do we make it a hose it out car? Or do we
You'd have to say the
upmarket?
upmarket sort of premium luxury decision is the one to take, isn't it? In almost every case, I think.
That's where your Ineos Grenadier was supposed to fill the gap, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Which it did, but I think looking back now, you realise that you don't really want an old Defender, and you're going to spend like 80 grand and use it on the road. That's not what you want nowadays, is it?
No.
Things have moved on.
I think another car we could have had in the noughties, we kind of gave ourselves a bit of latitude, didn't we? Bumped the GTR.
Yes.
It was just like and, wasn't it? The noughties list. Like, God, we can't have put that in. But it was just like weighing up.
Yeah.
And I think it defined, it was the right decision to put it in the
that's right. So
10s, I think.
Yeah, so the 2010s was the decade at which certainly I was a little bit worried everything might slightly start to run out of steam because the first 3 tests have been so special and all the cars have been so memorable to drive. But that really wasn't the case, was it? We had a pretty amazing test in the 2010s.
Really strong group of cars.
So as you say, GTR kind of skipped a few years into the 2010s.
Well, I think they first showed it in 08, didn't they? And then I think the first car started getting delivered in 09.
But it was a handful of cars in the UK.
Dominating all the tests from that point onwards, didn't they? So,
and that's also when its influence on other European makers started to be felt, where they'd had a few stressful board meetings, I think. What's this crazy car from Japan that's
turning up in the backyard of the Germans and setting lap records and things.
And it probably did influence their direction towards dual clutch gearboxes, higher power outputs, higher weight,
turbocharging and everything.
I
and
think
so
the
on.
demeanour of the 911 Turbo changed.
Yep.
They just kind of sharpened it up a bit, didn't they, and made it not quite a GT department car, but I think GT department started to have a
bit more
an
influence.
input and say in how they did that car. So no, really influential thing.
Yeah,
proper car of the moment as well, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was just,
yeah.
You hardly ever see them now.
No,
but you used to, it's a bit like TVRs in the 90s and noughties. Where have they all gone?
They're all at Lichfield.
All of them.
The car park looks
that's
like
true, because
the factory, doesn't it?
each decade did kind of have a cult car, didn't it? Kind of GTR in this one, and then you'd probably say that the Mini for the noughties and TVR. The whole Pistonheads brand started out at TVR, and 205 GTI is still a hero now. So each decade kind of had a bit of a cult car, and that was one of them. But the complete antithesis of the Nissan was the Alpine A110 that we had in there, which was such a breath of fresh air.
That's like discovering that the dinosaurs are closer to the Wright brothers' first flight than Stegosaurus. Do you know what I mean? They're in the same decade, really?
Yeah.
There's real parallels though between the Elise and how that felt in the 90s test and the Alpine and how that felt in the 10s test. Totally different to everything else around it, and you just get in it. So wow, this is like, it's a light car that feels light, but
it's not hardcore or tough to drive.
But such a nice thing, really brilliantly.
And probably
executed.
the first car since the Elise really to uphold those values. I mean, there's a bit of a Lotus in that car because
Lotus in that car. There is a lot.
So it should be a hat tip to Hethel for it, but it executes it so well.
Didn't Caterham set up a factory next door to Hethel?
I think so. And there were a lot of ex-Lotus engineers working at that Caterham Technologies or whatever it's called.
And Doto does give credit to Lotus for intellectual copyright, I think.
No, it's a great thing.
It's funny, it feels more like a Lotus to me than an Emira.
Right.
Which is bizarre, isn't it, when you think of it?
I see what you mean.
It's got that character of fluidity and being really simple and pure to drive.
So what else did we have? We had a 991.2
GTS.
So rear wheel drive, but with PDK, because I think we were conscious. Our inclination is, if we have a choice, probably we'd maybe prefer a manual, but actually the PDK kind of was a big step change, wasn't it? And the it's sort of integral to how those cars drive, I think. So that was a really nice spec car. So thanks to Ben Luff, the owner, and RPM Technic. That was such a hard car to find, actually. I think I made contact with most of the owners in the UK.
It was coming down to a few days before the shoot, wasn't it?
Really,
it was looking really down to the wire.
Just before.
And not a car we could do the test without
either. Exactly. And we wanted it to be a 0.2 because that was when it went turbocharged, which was a big step, and a big theme of the 2010s was turbocharging.
Really impressive thing though, wasn't it?
It was great.
It felt
really
so together, and character was quite different with the torque, but really quick, and
it was
capable,
one of my favourite cars of all the tests.
Really.
On the supercar slot, we went for a McLaren because McLaren were a brand new brand. I think towards the beginning of 2010, so very neatly for that decade. And we went for a 650S rather than the 12C because the 12C.
I think 12Cs they're slightly quirky, aren't they? And they're not quite the fully formed thing that we know.
They're still defining it, weren't they, at that point?
650S though.
Blew me away.
It was so. I know it's
never lacked a bit of performance.
Jesus, it's so fast. And angry and expressive and
It's the opposite of what you hear about McLarens from that era for me. It was such a surprise. Because to go quick in it, it was not just put your foot down, feel the turbos.
Yeah.
It was a lot of this, a lot of jinking around, lots of...
12C was a bit aloof.
Yeah.
And it bit uptight and didn't want to let itself have fun almost. It's like, I've been sent to deliver this performance and I'm going to do it without any sort of emotion.
It was supposed to be a GT car on the way to the circuit and then a circuit car when it got there. That was the plan, wasn't it?
But yeah, I think they've got the engine character was much more kind of front and centre, and the steering feel was better, and they refined the damping a little bit more, and it looks
you felt
bit
more in touch with what the car was doing, a bit less remote.
Steering of McLarens is nowadays really does
absolute
stand
benchmark,
out, doesn't
isn't it? Yeah.
I think they're very. I mean, I know Harry's always a good barometer of this sort of stuff, isn't it? And I know he loves his. We were going to have his car, and then McLaren they've started to bring some of their heritage cars on stream now. So
this one was in really good condition.
Yeah, but I think it's the freshest one, hadn't it? Everything
they'd just given it a really good going over, and it drove brilliantly.
But yeah, I think they kind of revolutionised the way that class of supercar performs on the road.
And they influenced what Ferrari would do, what so many other manufacturers would do. It is a real before and after.
Yeah, I think you feel it in all of its rivals now. I think everyone kind of recognises how good that McLaren is, or how they've become.
And then 2010s was a real golden era for hot hatches, and we had two. One of them was your old shed.
Yeah, your old shed. My ST200.
These kids, they're just doing it because they can get away with it now.
That's it,
because Stu's
later on,
You'll be the old bastard one day.
That's it, true.
Don't forget that.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
It was a bit weird actually, being part of the test as one of the Evo crew, but also being part of the test as an owner.
Yeah.
Like, right, okay, there's the key. Enjoy yourself.
Really appreciate what our owners do for us.
It's everyone should do it. I think to all of us should have that experience. So no, it's fun. I'm very really attached to the car, but as a consequence, you're always invested in what other people think.
We're quite sensitive about it.
I've tried to be a little bit detached, but I was earwigging when you. You what? That's not how it is. But no, I think it came across well.
It's a hell of a car. I remember driving it because 2010s was the decade when I started writing about cars for a living, and it knocked my socks off first time I drove that generation Fiesta ST. It's such a special car, and it felt every bit as good driving it today as it did then. And like you mentioned earlier, it's a really emotional experience sometimes, sort of retreading your past in a way. And all of the 2010s cars I drove put me back in the frame of mind I was in when I drove them, and the people I was with and the things I was doing. And Yousuf, you were driving a lot of these cars for the very first time.
Yeah.
Was there any surprises for you driving the older stuff and the more contemporary stuff?
Well, I think the ST was a surprise for me because I'd never driven one. I remember having an epic drive in it and coming back, and I was like, James, are they really this good? Am I like what's going on? You're like, they are really that good.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I think the big surprise was the 996 for me, because I always saw that as one of the last analog 911s. I thought I'd really enjoy it. I didn't quite like it as much as I've enjoyed modern 911s, which is, I didn't really expect that.
Yeah.
And then the 2020s, which we might get onto later, kind of encapsulates everything that we say that we're not keen on in terms of the trends in the industry, but then all of those cars, apart from maybe the M5, were really exciting, and I think it took the game on again in a lot of ways. And it's almost like the peaks are still as high as ever, but there's less to choose from in a way. And
maybe you've exchanged the in achieving the peaks there, you've maybe lost a little bit of something else, but it sort of feels like a fair trade almost, doesn't it? You haven't like lost out completely. It's just that is just progress, isn't it? In a positive way.
I missed that one. So what was the key cars?
Right.
Well, let's get into the 20.
Touring.
What was the supercar?
So we went for a Ferrari 296 for supercar.
Still not driven that.
In this case, it was a GTS, but it could have been a GTB. We wanted to have partly we chose the Ferrari because you can kind of draw an almost direct line from that in their product portfolio back to the 355 in the 90s test, but now it's more than 800 horsepower with combined power from the motor
back
and
to
the engine.
Testarossa,
Yeah, that's true.
It's twice the performance of the Testarossa as well.
But yeah, it's sort of the definitive
modern V6 hybrid.
Yeah, sort of
supercar.
slightly downsized engine with hybrid and super quick gearbox and all the electronics that Ferrari are so good at. What else did we have?
We wanted something. Sorry.
Well, we had an electric car, didn't we?
We did. This was a first. Yeah, the Hyundai Ioniq 5N. So we wanted to have an EV in there.
Yeah.
We were debating which one to go for, and we thought about the Alpine A290 for a bit, but we felt the Ioniq. I think you described it quite neatly, Yousuf. They've kind of thrown everything at it in terms of technology.
Yeah.
It's quite experimental, isn't it? Trying different things with the modes and
it's got simulated
noises.
Gear changes, simulated engine noise, all sorts going on. So that was a really interesting one to put in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And in fact, so we had one pure EV and 3 hybrids in this test because we had, again, sticking with the 911 control car, we went for the hybrid GTS Carrera, the first hybrid 911. And we had the BMW M5, in fact the Touring, so first M5 estate since the V10 one, and that's now a very big, very heavy car.
Yeah, massive, isn't it? And then we had Civic Type R, didn't we? So that's like a last hurrah, really.
That's a good car.
Yeah.
Cracking.
If the hot hatch kind of feels like it's end of days for the hot hatch, but that's kind of peak hot hatch, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then the final slots, again, a bit like the GTR, it's a car that could have featured in multiple decades, in fact right back to the 80s, but we finally put the Mazda MX-5 in the test after being on the long list for every test we did. It finally came home to roost in the 2020s.
It is the best one as well, I think.
It was fantastic. We all really
it's hilarious, the MX-5. You look at it, isn't it? It's like the if there's ever like a nuclear Armageddon, there'll be the cockroaches and there'll still be the MX-5.
It's still like tweaking it.
Yeah, it's just like this permanent fixture, isn't it? But it's such an anomaly now because it's still so small, so light, so simple. Everything they've had to put on it, like the ADAS stuff.
Yeah. Somehow they fit it.
Well, there's a
button somewhere.
Just turn all that bullshit off straight away.
But it's also got Apple CarPlay, electric windows.
And it weighs, 1,100 kilos still?
Less
than 12.
10,
is it really?
Yeah. So it's remarkable
miracle.
that they can still make a car with everything on it that is so small and light.
I think the sad thing, well, one of the sad things is that pretty much is it's not quite the long list, is the short list, but there isn't a great deal of either or choices with these things anymore.
It was the shortest list of all the decades. We compiled the list of potential cars.
And the only genuinely affordable one there is the MX-5. I mean, maybe the Civic.
You can
Civic
get deals on the Civic, but it's
anything
still a 50 grand car.
I suppose I mean, £50,000 seems like a lot of money to me, but
me too.
Anything sub 50 is kind of affordable, isn't it? And everything over that is not, perhaps. But really interesting group of cars. Again, probably the most diverse group of the whole thing in a lot of ways.
But again, brilliant driving experiences, all of them. I mean, we were a little bit lukewarm about the M5. That was probably the one car that we didn't.
I think that's
quite so much.
It kind of needed to be there to illustrate what modern cars are like if they don't quite get everything to gel, and they are too heavy, and it just felt more. There's more compromises in it than you would want. It's still good at certain things in certain moments in certain modes, but the chance of staying in that sort of zone for a meaningful amount of time, it's a hard car to fall in love with, I think.
And that is like a common theme outside this group of highlights, isn't it? So we kind of needed to experience what we were complaining about for the last 5 years. Every decade in this series wanted it to be a bit of a cross-section of the performance car market at that time. So we felt that this group of 6 cars gave the best kind of snapshot of where we're at and where we're going, maybe. But the highs were still very high.
I'd not driven the 5N Hyundai, so I was really excited to drive that, actually. And I really enjoyed it.
It's a really good driving experience.
Fun car.
You go through such extremes of what you think because you hear someone revving it up, revving it up. It's like, oh, for God's sake, it's like a sort of computer game that I would have played when I was a child. So you think, what the hell is that all about?
Yeah.
But it's, and I sort of mean this in a positive way, but it is. We've talked about simulators and the cues that they give you, but it's almost when you're in the car and driving it, and there's some sound, and there's the gear shift mode that you can use. I so quickly forgot
me too.
about the powertrain because they've got it so right with the with the i20N and the i30, and they were really honed cars that were built by engineers and people that love driving and know what you need to rely on in a car, and they've got all of that there. It was the sort of when you're just tipping in and out of the throttle in a corner, and just what the car does and how it responds, and all those little
the cues,
fine things that make the difference between a car you just drive almost without thinking and one that you're always trying to drive around it or
really engage with it.
It's so clever. So clever, and the handling balance and how it hides its weight. You do ultimately notice how heavy it is, but it contains itself really well. It's just a shame how I'm torn. Like the demands of the test are such that we're in the middle of nowhere, and we're driving quite hard, and we have lots of time pressures to get the job done. So you're constantly looking at the range. But it coped very well. But we had to be like
just
military
mindful.
operations of where we stayed, and then charging it overnight, and then if we'd had any further to go from where we stayed to where we were shooting and back, it would have been a bit marginal. So but
which is why we've never had an electric car on Car of the Year.
But I suppose what I took from it, and probably a bit late to this conclusion, but if we do get the promised much more energy dense, lighter batteries, then bloody hell, they're going to be really, really impressive cars, I think.
Imagine
if they're done as well as that.
They could even take it further and make a fake manual. I know that's a bit of a funny concept, but for me, like the MX-5 is a great car, not because of its engine. It's more how you interact with it and how it feels.
A bit like a Caterham.
Yeah, exactly. So if you imagine an MX-5 that's electric but still 1,200 kilos, but makes the sound of a V10 or something that's really convincing, and still has a gearbox that feels like it does, then the overall experience is going to be even better, I think, than the current MX-5.
Potentially,
so there's potential there, I think.
Yeah, massively so. I think it's... I'd love to... I couldn't live with one because my house is so old and crumbly that I've had to look at chargers and the electrics won't take it. But I'd love to spend more time with the 5N because I think you'd get to really love it, and it's much bigger than you expect. The way they styled it is so clever because in isolation it looks this big. And then like it's the same size. It was the same size as the M5.
It had a longer
wheelbase than the M5, believe it or not, which is.
I mean, it's still half a ton lighter than the M5. Bizarre. But when you're hooning along on those roads in Wales, it feels like a hot hatch. But then you think this would be a brilliant family car.
It's really
it does everything almost in a way that other cars can't somehow, because it's. Electric cars are so chilled, aren't they? When you're just making progress, they're very relaxing, and but when it's making its silly computer game, 8-bit computer game noise, and you're bombing along, it's like a totally different animal.
Yeah.
Well, this is a shock. I wasn't predicting this end to the podcast. Where we actually
electric cars are great, and let's all
on that bombshell.
We'll get some help for Dickie. And,
I'm trying to be positive for once, rather than cynical doom and gloom Eeyore in the corner.
EVs, but
But I mean, the hybrids are impressed on this test too. I mean, the Ferrari, that system is so well integrated, isn't it? And the way you can trundle through a village, you know, in electric mode, and then when the V6 does come in, it's
every bit
really
as intense as like the
I was really surprised. I'd only driven the GTB when we had one on Ecoti a few years back, and I loved the car, but I was a little bit disappointed in the character of the car because the powertrain seemed or the V6 seemed quite subdued. It's a totally different thing in the GTS.
Yeah.
It sounds there's more. You can connect F80 and this in the sound. It makes you can hear the turbos and you can hear the induction noise and you can hear the V6, which I think they had. Did they not have to change quite a lot of the
intake system for the
intakes?
GTS? Yeah.
So it's a
bit more
really
noise.
really amazing thing, like a proper Ferrari again, which I loved.
Yeah.
So far, I mean, we keep saying that. Oh, so far, it's outrageously quick.
Yeah.
Outrageously quick, but because it sounds good, you're kind of immersed in it a little bit more rather than remote from it. And we haven't spoken about the 911 again, have we? But that's if you weren't told it was a hybrid, you wouldn't know. It's that well integrated, and it's the total polar opposite approach to the M5.
Yeah.
You know, they went full on whole hog. It has to be a PHEV.
Yeah.
Have some.
There are 9 modes for the regen and things.
Yeah.
The 911 can't even drive on electric power.
No,
alone.
no
It
electric.
doesn't
No
drive
electric
the wheels.
power.
It's just purely subsidises the.
It's just
or
like
supplements, I should say.
another turbo on top of the turbo, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
And it's nearly. I think it's not. It's a little over 10% of the weight of the M5 hybrid system. So it's like 50, 60 kilos or something, isn't it, for the whole for the whole thing?
Yeah.
It sounds pretty angry, that car.
It's a
doesn't
really
it? It's almost like
angry,
they've sort of compensated for people.
It's
saying,
almost like a
I think we've
cross-plane
gone soft.
V8
So
kind
it's
of
gruff.
noise.
yeah, it's got this very rumbly.
Yeah.
It is a gruff tone.
Kind of noise, but it's got big.
That's odd because the base 911 is fantastic. It sounds like
It's really
old
sweet
school.
and
old school.
Yeah.
It's
V6.
big boot. I mean, there's no lag, but it feels like a big boosty,
muscly raw engine.
911 sort of.
Yeah.
You know, like you hear not like a 935, but that
Yeah.
kind of angry,
aggressive.
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah.
It's a very cool car, and the way they've done it is it's like they found a loophole in the hybrid regs somehow. It's like, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this
tiny battery,
because we don't want a 2-ton 911. So
Very Porsche.
Yeah.
Just what you want them to do.
It starts instantly because it doesn't have a conventional starter motor.
There's
You
no
sort of
turnover,
turn the-
is there?
Yeah, you turn. Well, it's not a key. You turn the switch.
yeah,
don't you?
they've
And then it's
stripped.
just straight.
That's
It's,
good for
it's
emissions,
amazing
yeah.
packaging. They've stripped all the ancillary belts and parts, and because either it doesn't need them or they've integrated them into
the
the engine
electric bit,
castings
yeah.
and stuff. So the engine is shorter, so they can package bits of the like the inverter and all the
Control
clever
box,
control
yeah.
boxes and stuff sit above the engine. So it and the hybrid battery sits where the conventional car battery would sit, so just below the scuttle. So it doesn't change the
Balance,
weight distribution or the packaging. I think the boot's slightly bigger, or the front is slightly bigger, weirdly. I don't think there won't ever be a manual.
I don't think there can be with that.
There's no
Yeah.
there's nothing to break the drive from. But I don't think in that car. I'd like to experience a manual, but I don't think it would add anything. I think
Because it's
the
quite intense as it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're not
PDK
really-
works so well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all the systems have to
With
talk
that.
to each other fluently, don't they?
They
So,
do, yeah.
but and it
So-
handles brilliantly. I had
Yeah.
a great drive.
The torque works really. You can kind of work the car really well with the torque because it's instant
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of it.
Yeah.
So
I think
it's-
I probably enjoyed that 911 and the first one the most.
Okay.
Whereas I thought it'd be
Interesting.
somewhere in between.
So it's a
would
real
be the sweet
bookends
spot.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for
Yeah.
very different reasons.
And well, every decade there's been a car that's been a bit of a surprise, and we've sort of picked a favourite. But could any of you choose a favourite car from all of
from the whole
from
thing.
the whole thing?
Or should we
if you
do
could
like a
drive?
two-car garage?
Which 911
Two-car
are we gonna do?
garage?
Yeah.
Which-
Ah, blimey.
Yeah, I'd
yeah.
stick with the R8, I think.
Yeah.
And
Jeez.
maybe the Elise.
yeah.
Elise or MR2, I think.
The car that surprised me the most was the Mark V Golf GTI, because I knew they were good, but
Yeah.
I hadn't realised just how good, because I'd driven Mark 7 and briefly Mark 6. I hadn't driven a Mark 5, and
Yeah.
it's just such a good. And then my favourite, obviously I choose an orange supercar, so the McLaren 650S, because that was such
It's
a
hard to resist
That's
that,
up
isn't
there,
it?
intense
isn't it?
driving
It's
experience.
really hard to resist
Yeah.
that car. Yousuf, that'll give me a bit more time to think
Yeah.
about that.
I didn't tell you I was
biggest-
going to put you all on the spot.
Yeah,
so
yeah. Biggest surprise,
How very
probably.
stupid.
I've learned from the best.
You've been quietly observing. I think maybe the Fiesta actually was the biggest surprise.
Yeah.
And it's probably the one I'd have in my 2-car garage as well. If I was gonna
with
have
your
one.
Elise?
With
Or-
an Elise or the 650S.
Okay.
Because the 650S, in a way, feels like a supercar version of an Elise.
Yeah.
Because it's still got loads of feedback, but it's quite fluid. It's just got that angriness, which you don't get in an Elise. Maybe to switch things up, I'll go with the 650S. Because I've got an Elise at home. So, yeah, I'm lucky enough, yeah.
Well, I've got a Fiesta at home.
Dickie's going to ignore the Fiesta now and go for something.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. That's it.
Yeah, well, I don't have to include that because I've already got it. I love the Carrera, 3.2 Carrera.
It was a really
Absolutely
special
love
car,
that
that,
car.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I know
Yeah.
I'm lucky because I've got a 911 already. But if I were ever to sell that, I think I would have. Well, unfortunately, I don't think Steve will ever sell his. Will he?
No, he did say
Because
it's,
I
it's
said,
the
if
car
you
I'd
ever
never
think of
sell.
selling it, he said, it'll be the last one. So
Oh,
I
God.
walked in the office thinking, well, I'm going to say, if you ever sell it.
Yeah.
And I walked in and opened the door and I heard him say, yeah, it'll be the last one I ever sell.
Straight back
I
out.
should have just turned around and gone out and goes, oh, bollocks. So I definitely have that. And I have this I flip-flop between, since this test, prior to the test, I thought I will have an S1 Elise one day because I just...
Yeah.
I always think it's the most significant high performance car that's ever been kind of launched in my career time, if you like.
Yeah.
And then I drove the Griff 500 again, and you to get a nice one, they're quite similar.
They
So
are.
I'm like, I don't know what I'd have, but
Yeah.
I think it would be either one of those. That hasn't answered the 2-car garage, but it would be either of those.
Come
I
back
think.
to that in another issue.
Yeah.
The most important question, and one which is answered in the issue that's on sale now, and we won't give the game away here, but we do choose our favourite decade of all. We all actually voted. I think most of us voted differently, and there were other people involved in the voting, so it won't give the game away if we all reveal here which one we chose. So, Yousuf, I think you went for the 2010s.
I went for 2010s.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's with the caveat that I wasn't on the 2000s test, which sounds like it was pretty epic. And in my mind, looking at those cars, that was probably going to be the one to run the 2010s closest if I was on it. But yeah, the 2010s for me, it's funny because the cars were a lot bigger, a lot more packed with tech and things. But that group of cars is the one that I can imagine owning all of them and using them every day nearly.
Yeah.
They're very usable cars, but also super exciting. And they just feel like they've got more bandwidth than the others. Because I think there's a novelty factor with the really old stuff. But then in terms of just driving on a great road, I think I'm missing some of that precision and capability from the really old stuff. And I think the 2010s was still a sweet spot because the cars were all still quite compact and they still had the feedback that you're looking for, and they're still really exciting, and actually they had the performance to give you a thrill more than the other decades for me. So I think that's, I put that top.
John, I think you were the naughty.
Yeah, 1960s.
1960s,
Great decade.
Yeah, cross plies, love them.
Old E-types.
Can't beat drum brake.
First supercar era. I think we need to revisit the 60s. I went 2000s. I all of those cars I would love to own.
Yeah, it's a hell of a lineup, isn't it?
You know, the modern stuff is quicker, but as the 80s cars showed us, you don't need to go that quick to have fun.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that all of those 2000s cars all had a certain poise to them, mid-corner poise, where the car was just there for you, all of them. So I thought that was a great generation. So I'd go with that one.
It was a good spot in kind of suspension tech, body tech had sort of evolved to the point, but they still had thin pillars you could see past, and wheels and tyres weren't massive.
The weight
and
wasn't that high.
weight wasn't big, so
it was a very good.
I really ummed and ahed and flip-flopped on which one to go through. The test
It's not like you, James.
No, I never overthink things at all or agonise over anything. Well, the test I enjoyed the most was the 80s. The 80s one. That's the one that I had the most fun on. But I think that was partly just the novelty of what we were doing, and it was the first one, and so on. So in the end, same as you, Yousuf, I went for the 2010s because it felt like a good balance between being able to drive the cars long distances, drive them every day, drive them a bit harder than the cars in the previous decades, but they were still as thrilling, I think, as the noughties cars. And then how about
you're obviously all wrong because I was the only person that went on all the tests. I chose the 90s.
Yeah.
It's really hard to choose between them, honestly. I think that the 10s was a surprise. You're not going to choose the 20s. I don't think that was just context for the other groups. But I love the 90s. I think I love the Clio. I just think they're all. I think in my head, I was having such a good time in the 90s. I think I was. Just everything was an adventure, and every car was exciting, and probably a bit more like the phase that you're at actually in. So it shapes your tastes in what you like. But 90s for me. I think I just fell in love with all of those cars.
Yeah, it's the one I missed. It's the test I really would have loved to have been on.
And I know I don't need to go as fast as I can go in the later cars. Possibly not the noughties is the sort of tipping point, I think, where they started to get so quick and capable that you were probably using less of their bandwidth more of the time. But I think the 90s, most of those cars I got in them, and I felt like I was driving them as hard as I wanted to on the road.
Yeah.
But you're not looking at the speedo and going, bloody hell, I better calm down a bit here.
There's a lot to be said for that.
So, and I know we all have a slightly odd, position because we know we're going to have access to whatever's new and fast, and so you can scratch that itch. So I think that probably is another factor for me.
Yeah.
I don't need to go that far. I love it when I do, but I'm quite happy
But
to
you've
give the
done
car back after a day. 90s for me all the way.
Makes sense to me. Well, this feels like a good point to hand over to all of you at home listening and watching. We'd like to hear from you to which decade is your own personal favourite that you feel is the high watermark for performance cars, and we will print some of them in a future issue of the mag. So if you email us at eds@evo.co.uk, that's eds@evo.co.uk, let us know what you think. We'd also like to...
Be interested to know what year they were born as well.
Yeah, that definitely has a bearing, doesn't it?
It does, it really does.
Terrifyingly, Yousuf was only just born in the last century.
Yeah, 99 for me,
And it definitely, I think it does have a bearing, because like you said, the 90s was a great time to be around in. And
I have a theory that like whatever year you're 21... becomes the era that you kind of look back to. It's definitely around about 21. But I think it's definitely that era.
And that's why classic car values follow that line when
as people
when they've
the
got
80s 90s stuff is really on the rise now, isn't it?
Because those people who grew up with those cars hankering after them can now afford them. So that's where it goes.
But two of the three cars, I think I've still got the 106 Rally somewhere.
Somewhere.
That's 97 and the 964 is 92. So 92 I was 21. So
there you go.
It's funny. It'll be interesting when it's if that is mirrored in people's views if they do say how young, what age they are.
That'd be really interesting. GDPR notwithstanding, please let us know your date of birth. And
we won't sell your data.
If you could also include
if
you could include your mother's maiden name
and your pet's name
as well.
First pet.
And your first car,
and that's your porn name.
We'd also like to hear from all of you generally. We've got an special email set up now, podcast@evo.co.uk. If you send in any questions you want us to answer, we'll do our best to tackle them in a future issue. But until then, thank you, Dickie.
Thanks, James. That's been
Thank
fun.
you, John.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Yousuf.
Thanks, guys.
And thanks, everyone, for watching, listening, and we'll see you soon.
Yeah, see you next time.
Cheers.